Well, good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. We begin with the aftermath of a significant winter storm, including 5 people who are now confirmed dead. Officials say trees fell onto moving vehicles across Oregon on Tuesday, causing 3 separate fatal crashes. Now, we've told you about these, though. We have more details confirmed tonight. The first on I-84 near the Bonneville Dam. The driver was taken to the hospital. Their passenger was killed when a tree fell onto their car. No word on the driver's condition. Then in Wasco County outside Government Camp, another person died in a crash on Highway 26 when a tree fell onto a semi-truck. Police say the driver, who was from Prineville, lost control and crashed. The highway was shut down all the way to Madras for about 3 hours there. And 3 people also died in Clatsop County on Highway 26 outside Cannon Beach when a tree toppled onto their pickup truck. The driver and 2 passengers died, among them a 4-year-old girl. All of these roads have since been reopened. And speaking of downed trees and power lines, there are at least 120 reports of trees that came down in the Rose City alone. Let's take you live downtown near the Portland Art Museum. We told you about this guy on Tuesday, and 24 hours plus on, it's still blocking the road. Portland Parks and Rec are responsible, though they tell us, given all the calls about trees, the cleanup timeline here, it's uncertain. You can call 503-823-TREE to report one that's down. If power lines are also down, contact your power company. And if it's an emergency, call 911. Well, let's bring in meteorologist Joe Ranieri now. Joe, finally a break in all the stormy weather, but what's headed our way next?
Another round of heavy rain and strong winds along the coast. But just speaking about that tree, it's impressive that that root ball just popped up that part of the sidewalk in downtown Portland. But yeah, we're not going to be dealing with the mess that we saw, of course, Monday night and into yesterday. We are going to be seeing the heaviest rain basically arrive early tomorrow morning, but by 7:30, 8 o'clock, right around sunrise, we'll start to see more scattered showers. So not a strong system, but we will be seeing heavy downpours at times. As you can see on the radar right now, we are seeing nothing picking up just yet, but that's going to be changing here. Really after midnight is when that front moves on shore. And once it does, we'll be seeing widespread greens, some yellows, maybe some oranges as well. So let's bring in Futurecast. We'll put this into motion. Here we are after midnight tomorrow, 3:30, 4 o'clock. We'll start to see a good amount of showers move through by as early as 8, 9 o'clock even. We'll start to see some drier weather move through. But if you're traveling throughout the Oregon Cascades, David, you are going to be seeing some heavy mountain snow late tonight and into tomorrow. They've already seen about a foot of snow in a few places. I'm forecasting another 8 to 10 possible by the end of tomorrow. I'll talk more about your holiday weekend forecast in just a few minutes.
Appreciate the heads up. Thank you, Joe. Developing tonight, the struggle for tens of thousands of travelers to make it home, with the CEO of beleaguered Southwest Airlines essentially in damage control as the airline continues day after day to cancel most of its flights. Mike Benner, who, full disclosure, is still stuck with his family in St. Louis after 5 canceled flights. Poor guy. Sent us this update.
Another day and yet another round of canceled Southwest Airlines flights. According to the flight tracking website FlightAware, Southwest canceled 62% of its Wednesday's schedule, approximately 2,500 flights. To put that in perspective, American and Alaska Airlines only canceled a combined 44 flights. Needless to say, the thousands upon thousands of canceled Southwest Airlines flights dating back to last week is extraordinary.
Her flight was canceled 4 times.
Tracy Hurst of Northeast Portland is talking about her mom. The 78-year-old was flying from New Orleans to Portland when she got stranded in Oakland Monday.
They said they wouldn't be able to get her out until maybe, it wasn't even for certain, December 29th. And I was like, how is that okay?
Simply put, it's not, especially for a woman dealing with a bunch of health issues. So Tracy jumped in a car with a family friend and made the more than 9-hour drive to the Bay Area to pick up her mom. And it was no easy task. Just look at conditions they endured along the way.
It's a waste of energy to be frustrated and to be mad. You kind of gotta just think about this. What's the solution? Because at the end of the day, it was my mom sitting at the airport.
Tracy says the road trip from Portland to Oakland and back took about 24 hours. She's hoping Southwest Airlines compensates her and her mom.
Hey guys, I'm a lawyer and love helping you get the most out of your money.
Attorney Erica Kohlberg, who has quite the following on TikTok, prides herself on reading the fine print. She says air travelers impacted by Southwest Airlines issues are entitled to a myriad of reimbursements. For example,
if your bag is delayed, damaged, or lost, the Department of Transportation requires airlines to reimburse you for any reasonable and actual expenses up to $3,800.
While Tracy Hurst's mom may not have lost any luggage, she lost a lot of time. Tracy did too. And both women also lost faith in Southwest Airlines.
That is very concerning because they should have a contingency plan on how to deal with these type of situations.
And the situation is only getting worse. Southwest Airlines has preemptively canceled at least 2,300 more flights through Friday. Southwest Airlines has been blaming the bad weather for the debacle, but the Pilots Association points to an archaic system that, when the weather does get bad, can't handle crew reassignments and struggles to track down the locations of planes, pilots, and flight attendants. Reporting from St. Louis, where I'm stranded, I'm Mike Benner for KGW News.
Mike, we appreciate the report. We need you home, though. All right, new tonight. Call it a New Year's wish list. It is long, it is expensive, and it's what Portland's mayor hopes Oregon's new governor can deliver. Evan Watson with our extensive sneak peek.
Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler is asking the Oregon state government for help managing what he sees as some of the biggest issues facing Portland right now. Many of these topics we've thoroughly reported on throughout this year, so here's what he's focused on. First up, Mayor Wheeler is asking incoming Oregon Governor Tina Kotek to declare a state of emergency on the homelessness crisis. So what would this do? It would allow Portland to use emergency management or disaster funds in order to get more resources for the homelessness crisis. That could mean using the National Guard to help set up camping sites. That's part of the city's plan to ban street camping and move homeless people to 6 large tent encampments, a plan that currently lacks locations or enough funding. Wheeler says an emergency declaration could also allow Portland to purchase supplies from FEMA-subsidized disaster supplies lists. Plus, he's asking for direct funding from the state for each Oregon city to use in homelessness response and prevention. Wheeler is also asking for changes in how we deal with people who are experiencing severe mental illness crises. Through our KGW investigative series, Uncommitted, this year, I shared a lot of reports talking with families and many people with the challenges, looking at Oregon state standards for civil commitment. That's when someone is forced to receive mental health care even when they turn it down. Oregon requires a person to be dangerous to themselves or others in order to meet that standard. In many cases, people don't read that standard, despite the recommendation of doctors, family members, or others, and they're released, only to then experience this cycle over and over again. And for many of the people I talked to, like Brenda Gardner, whose son has experienced this, she shared with me that this system isn't fitting his needs, and he has suffered, but he doesn't meet those mental health hold requirements.
As far as I'm concerned, the homeless situation is an open air psych ward. It's those people that should be in psychiatric facilities or in supported housing with a caseworker that checks on them, are instead living on the streets and being treated like animals.
Wheeler is asking the Oregon legislature to potentially lower civil commitment standards in the 2023 session, making it easier for people to be forced to get mental health treatment. He says these reforms should be linked with expanded community mental health treatment efforts to avoid sending people to jails, emergency rooms, and the already full Oregon State Hospital. This request of Wheeler's would jump ahead of the timeline of an Oregon Judicial Department work group, which is already working on changing these standards for 2025. Next up on Mayor Wheeler's wish list, help on Portland's roads to hopefully catch illegal drivers and also car thieves.
Over the weekend, we had multiple traffic crash fatalities. Driving fatalities affect everybody in our community, and sadly enough, tonight, a 24-year-old man is killed by somebody that was driving extremely fast on a residential street.
Mayor Wheeler wants the Oregon State Police to help Portland with traffic enforcement over the next year. He says traffic fatalities are up year over year and more people are stealing cars, so the Oregon State Police, he says, are needed to help from the state level. Our investigative reporter Kyle Aboshi produced a series of reports called Injustice, looking at Oregon's public defender crisis. There aren't enough lawyers to represent low-income defendants. So That short staffing means people accused of a crime are waiting in jail for weeks or months until they can get a lawyer. Some cases are being dismissed outright before they even reach any kind of resolution, and some victims aren't receiving justice. It's another item on Mayor Wheeler's wish list. He's asking state lawmakers to provide pay parity and also for other resources for these overworked public defenders. He says the lack of public defenders is eroding faith and trust in the justice system and contributing to a public safety crisis in Portland. Here's Willie Choatson, one of those public defense attorneys.
It's hard having too much work to be able to do, knowing what best practices would look like, but not having the time to do every single thing that would help my clients and help my cases.
Mayor Wheeler lists a few other funding requirements that he's identified, including Medicaid spending for one, helping to speed up the development of workforce housing and affordable housing, and the number of police academies in order to help solve this shortage of police officers across the state, but most importantly for him in Portland. I joined Governor-elect Tina Kotek on her first stop of her listening tour last week as well, and she had three priorities that she laid out: behavioral mental health care, early childhood education, and housing. So we'll see if these lists agree or align when Governor Kotek takes office and what she does. First off, the 2023 legislative session begins on January 17th. Evan Watson reported for KGW News.
And speaking of the state of affairs in the Rose City, one of Portland's oldest brew pubs has now permanently closed one of its locations. The Lucky Labrador Taproom and Pub on North Killingsworth had been struggling. On Facebook, the brewery owners wrote about the ongoing challenges brought on by the pandemic and aftermath. The longtime Portland craft brewer said its three other locations on Southeast Hawthorne, in Multnomah Village, and in Northwest will remain open.